Yo, collect and connect.
Blake and Chad. Chad
And Blake.
Collect
And connect.
Blake and Chad's Collect and Connect.
This is Luke Chu. Dave Presley.
Blake and Chad's.
This is
Blake and Chad's.
This is
Collect and Connect.
We are part of the VeVe community, and we understand, that's what you do all day, but we really want to learn about you and connect the community to you a little more. This way people can learn about Rhys. There's nothing else that we all do than our NFTs and our projects and all that stuff. But what do you do when you're chilling? Where are you at? You said you're gonna go on a little vacay soon, and
yeah. I actually just got back from a few days in Hawaii actually, after New York Comic Con, but that was like a special treat. My partner is an absolute weapon at what she does, and was a top performer in the country, and they send us on an all expenses paid holiday to Hawaii. So yeah, I was the plus one. I'm like, I'll be the plus one every year.
right here.
Yeah.
It's a slow hand raise.
No problem.
That's it. But look, generally, that's what I do to unwind, right? I've been traveling almost full time for probably 10 years. So I don't really call any place home. I have an affinity with a few places, but it's I don't know. But for me, being on the move is relaxing, which is probably counterintuitive for most people. And I just really thrive off meeting people, right? Like meeting people, hearing their stories, seeing where they are, right? And that's why I love doing conversations like this, right? It all feels kind of in that same flow for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, like, even though traveling is exhausting for most people because they kind of go somewhere for a week or two, and you're trying to squeeze in all the relaxing you could do, whereas for me, I'm just kind of always moving somewhere. So I don't know, my life feels like a bit of a holiday, for lack of better term. Like it's just kind of how I live generally.
Yeah, me and Chad are in a trade. We do a lot of driving, so we're always on the move ourselves. And I always feel like I own a company, and I always feel like I have to be, my guys are calling or doing and marketing or whatever it is. And it's 110%. Every time we're talking to an artist, it helps me, like, oh my gosh, these guys are going 110%. They've been doing it 30 years and 40 years. And now they're still regenerating ideas into the markets. And I love the fact that VeVe connected me and Chad. That's how we met. He's in Canada.
Nice.
I'm in Florida. And we actually connected through the community, and we were like, hey, I met Ron English down in Art Basel, and he signed my NFT, and that's pretty much how it started. Ron was like, hey, what? And I was like, we kicked it off, and I was like, hey, I have an idea. Would you like to interview? And sort of just started steamrolling from there. And
yeah, just quickly there, that's why I love your content. I know you guys haven't been making content for that long, a few months at this point, but like already reaching out to the artists and getting their stories. And I say this to people all the time when they ask sort of what I collect on VeVe, and it's normally stuff from the artists, right? DesignerCon,
nice.
That kind of, because I get their story. So their pieces mean more to me than, and it's like the big brand.
I don't know what you mean.
It's I don't know. That's not something that I really anticipated from the start of this journey, and I don't think it's something I really even gave thought to, right? But now to have that opportunity is something that I take every time we get the chance.
Yeah, and what you said at the beginning right there, connecting with the community. Now that we're doing it, that fire builds up, and you're like, man, this is fantastic. You feel that, and you sort of feel yourself, and
it starts growing.
To you, and we reach out to other people, and you get that yes, and you're like, okay, let's keep going, and pushes yourself.
Look, from my point of view, personally, I'm just still, from day one, I'm blown away that people enjoy this experience so much that you want to make content, right? Yep. So, like, if you want to talk to me, let's make that happen.
Awesome.
If that somehow helps,
that's awesome.
Build that rapport, then it just makes sense, But before we get anywhere, thanks for making content. Really appreciate it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It makes it easier to do it though. Like You know, like getting to talk, especially like me and Blake, that's when we chatted and started creating this and whatnot. You know, the fact that we're just getting to hang out and talk with these artists has been the best part of it, and finding out about their journey, you know, finding out more about them and what they have to say, and you know what goes into a lot of what they do.
Exactly. It just reinvigorates an interest. Maybe I heard you saying it, Chad, on a video, but you hadn't been into a comic book store in 15 years or 20 years or something, and then, well, I don't know if that's right, but
more or less, yeah, more or less. So, like,
so,
for sure, though.
This is always interesting to me. So, did you used to collect comics? Like, was that an interest back in the day, and now it's reinvigorated? Yeah, for both of you.
Well, what happened with me, honestly, I had boxes, you know, like an old school. I used to go to my comic book store every week, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, right down the street from my house. Someone stole all my stuff, you know, like, oh my gosh. I was like 13. I'm never collecting again. Didn't do nothing, completely out. I'm like, whatever, you know. Comic books were my, you know, little kid stuff, Pogs and all that good stuff. And you know, now you guys come around, and all of a sudden I'm feeling like that again. I'm like, wait a second. My wife is staring me down like, why are all these boxes here? Where are these comic books coming from? And I'm getting an eye. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. That's what I did when I was a kid. It reconnects that. You know, every time I say, you know, talk to someone, like, if that could bring you back to that little second where you're like, man, that felt like I was a 6-year-old. That's it. That's that feeling you want to do when I'm this age, and I'm sure everyone at this age. And we know everyone across the board in the app is collecting, and you know, whatever their terms are. But you know, and we know the games. But I collect for fun, and I love the connections we're doing, and you know, just allowing to bridge some type of communication. And again, you know, we want to just maybe bring one person to drive them to, you know, a Ron English or a Luke Chu, like you said. And if we can get one person to their website or do that, man, that's what we actually had someone email us the other day from that, probably the Luke Chu video. And he's like, man, this Luke Chu video, I think it was our first one. He's like, it was so inspiring. I ended up drawing Luke Chu. I'm like, what? I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, whoa. Like, you watched our show and you did that. I was like, yeah, because you just really interest me in the artists. We're like, oh my gosh, you know.
When he's a content creator himself as well.
Yeah, VeVe.
He's under VeVe. Yeah, he's out of Germany, so it's like, you know, it's pretty cool to hear something like that and get some feedback.
Yeah, you know, that was one of our main goals at the beginning of the day, is just really just reach out. You know, I love the IPs, honestly, but the artist is where it's at. You know, they can connect.
You know, the big IPs bring in the eyeballs, and then people go down the rabbit hole and find Ron English or, you know,
100%.
Yeah. That to me has always been such a positive evolution of the application. You know, to be able to put them side by side. You know, and so just before we divert away, were both of your stories the same? Did you used to collect as well?
Yeah, like for myself, I was collecting more like kind of sports cards and all that kind of stuff at a younger age. This, that, Coke products, all, you know, whatever and whatnot, Coca-Cola and that. So, but then it kind of fell off. But yeah, I hadn't grabbed anything then since VeVe. It's kind of turned full circle and started grabbing mostly stuff, trying to what I can off the app. Because it's like, even when it first came out, I was like, oh, it's so cool, all this stuff, and went off. And then went to DesignerCon and then the artist stuff, and then I started diving deeper and deeper, because when I, you know, first Ron English and then Frank Kosick, it's like, oh, these are such, you know, it's cool. And then things just started to escalate, and it's only gotten better.
And you mentioned it a second ago, you know, getting the artist stories. It's really easy now to come into VeVe and see them as, oh, there's an artist on VeVe, but you don't hear about the 40 years before they became an artist on VeVe, right? Where they were illustrating and grinding and running their own gallery shows and all of that stuff. So it's just so much more.
Yeah, the
encompassing, right?
I think that's the best part for us too, right? Yeah. Like, that's been our best part, is getting to hear all that stuff and what they're doing to get to there, and what they're, you know, just what they've done. It's like, yeah, that's what I like the most, is because that's when that's kind of the basis of starting this, is like, well, let's find out more about them, because let's see what makes them create.
A lot of these guys started as street artists. You know, they were doing a lot of all of that kind of work back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and all that. And as much as that work has been photographed and things, eventually you won't be able to see it in the real world, right? The building will get knocked down, or it's already been painted over, or something like that, right? So this does give you permanency I guess it gives their work some purpose.
Yeah, legacy, something honestly for hundreds of years, or when a piece that is non-existent anymore in the physical will be there in the blockchain, essentially, if they really want it. And I'm sure in time, with technology transforming and daily stuff happening, I completely understand that the Vverse or whatever verse or meta, whatever will be in 5-10 years. The gravitating fact is the Web3 is here in essence, because look at the connections we're having within what we're doing. We have Twitter spaces that have people from around the world. The Web3 is happening. It's just not in Oculus form right now, but my kids are 6 years old. When I was 6 years old, nothing was here like this. When my kids are my age, nothing like this will be there for them. So Web3, I completely understand is part of the future. And this visual candy or NFTs and things that people love to see is going to be a nice little piece of that.
Yeah, I mean, that is the evolution of Web3, right? If Web 1 was read, Web 2 was write, Web 3 is own, right? You own pieces of the network or pieces of the internet or pieces of someone's mind, right? Whether that's a piece of art or something like that. So, I mean, the metaverse is already here, right? It's coming. It's here. It is our lives from this point on, right? Building towards that kind of technology. And yeah, like every little piece is building that puzzle, right? Whether it's the artists that get in early or the way that we're doing things, like it's never existed before. It can only be invented once, as we kind of roll down this path of digitization. And owning any piece of that, I think, is exciting, right?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
On the early pieces and to the people. Yeah.
And you guys are experiencing that firsthand, realistically, because I mean, you're creating technology as it goes.
Yeah, we're we're contributing or ushering it in a little bit, right? Saying like, well, here's how we think it should go. Here's what we think is realistic at the moment compared to where we'll be in 5 years or 10 years. And I wouldn't say there's a lot of pressure there, but there's
not a whole lot. Understand why those vacations happen.
Let's go.
They're never actually like tuned out, right? But there's always something happening that you can plug into, and fundamentally for me, like, I love being plugged in, right? Like I love meeting people, but the people in this community are my friends, right? And that doesn't feel like work to me if I could just jump on a stream and have a chat with people.
That's what we say all the time. This doesn't feel like anything that we're doing. It's just having a great time and chatting with you or anybody is humbling. But at the end of the day, hey, we all work and we all do our thing and we all try to find the way to connect. And connecting is the biggest thing I love about. I learned in the whole. I try to tell everybody the utility is the connection. Just keep connecting and get out of the. I don't like our show is nothing about. We don't like to talk about market, So I always say, hey, come educate on the artist if you can, because if you can maybe like connect with one, you maybe just collect this stuff or whatever.
But that is the strength of the community, right? Or our community or any community. It's not just that we share this experience. We're actually networking with each other, right? So over time, our own social network is growing. It just happens that we all enjoy this experience so much that it becomes a very real and in-person network, right? You go to an event, you're meeting friends across the internet, right? You two have come here through that, right? So it's I find that such a fascinating part of
amazing, right?
This grow, right? The product is almost like background to what's actually going on here, right? The value that's being created and delivered just in friendship. Honestly, it's one of the best things about DesignerCon. Like Comic-Con's amazing. Yeah. It's chaos, right? DesignerCon, you want to see Ron English or Kozik or Jermaine or anything, like they probably have their own booth and you could just go hang out there, and have a chat. Right?
That's awesome.
It's such a different setup to the Comic-Cons and things, and like I think it's my favorite event compared to sort of the big Comic-Cons. They're great for, it's awesome to be part of the Marvel booth.
Is there anyone going to be there this year that you're looking forward to seeing that you haven't met yet?
Who's going to be there? I think I've met most of them. I think I met a lot of them last year. But I think a few artists will swing by our booth throughout the weekend. Had the pleasure of meeting Simone from Tokidoki at New York Comic Con. I think they'll be out there. you know, Luke Chu
Awesome.
and all of our artists will be there as well. So
Yeah.
I'm very blessed at DesignerCon that I don't need to leave the booth to go and find it.
Yeah, that's fair.
You're part of that booth there.
Yeah.
So what's that experience like going from a first DesignerCon to where you're at now, and you know where your projections and stuff like that would be? I mean, you know, going to the first DCon probably was like, all right, let's get the feel for this. Now you're saying like the booth is coming and you know what's going to be projected for the future. What's that feeling like? You know, I know it's humbling too.
Yeah, the whole thing, right? So this time last year, Alex had worked with us for maybe 4 or 5 months. I'd never met him in real life, right? I haven't even met David Yu in real life at that point, even though we'd worked together for 4 years or something. So, you know, that added to the whole experience. It wasn't just like VeVe's first real life event. It was like VeVe's first real life team meeting, right? And that sort of added to the fun. But our booth was like a black curtain and 2 trestle tables, right? It wasn't, it's not like VeVe didn't turn out at our first event, you know? So it was great that the community showed up. And that actually has a much bigger effect anyway, right? Like ultimately we're at a con that has always been about physical collectibles, right? Whether it's artworks or plush toys or whatever. And then we turn up with a few iPads because we sell digital products. So it's like really counting
TVs and
I think most people that had been there a lot, and it was a smaller event last year, but like most people would have been very confused as to why we were there or what our place was if we didn't have the fam there, right? They sort of they built the excitement, everyone got together for the drops and all those things, and absolutely had the same impact at Comic-Con, right? People come past and, you know, this time obviously we have the Marvel screen and booth and everything to direct people to us, right? Because we're attached to it, but they're watching our audience come in, like all the community, and everybody else feels the excitement and the chatter going on and wants to know about it, right? So I just think that has probably a bigger impact than any sort of booth design that we put together, right? And I mean, it's the same online, right? And people come to this community and they stick around because they find content creators or YouTube like spaces and all of that, you know. So
you know, exactly to your point there, like if me and Chad were to meet at DesignerCon, I think that would probably be the bigger thing out of everything we do there, because this is what we've been doing. And to that point, like if we were to meet, we're like, yo, what's up? Oh my God, I can't believe you're for real. You're a real person.
And then imagine a few hundred people doing exactly that at the same time in the same place. While Randy's live streaming and while this other stream passes you this way and drops in for an interview and
all of that, huh?
It's crazy.
I mean, there's all day. It's the creation is real. It's got everyone's juices flowing, you know, and that's what's up. So
exactly right.
Was that the first DesignerCon you were ever at?
That was the first DesignerCon. That was my first con, right? And we were probably going to get into this anyway, so hopefully I don't divert too far from the first question. But like, you know, I collected as a kid, right? I collected Pokemon cards and things like that. But I'd never been to like a collectibles conference, right? And leading up to that, I remember, you know, people always complain about edition sizes, and blind boxes, and how this is done and how that's done. And when I got to DesignerCon and literally saw the pieces of that event that are now in the VeVe app, right, and how they hit the same drive the same interest, and of course there's always someone that misses out or always disappointment, but that's what drives the FOMO for the next drop. To see that firsthand and really see what we were digitizing, right? Because it's not just the pieces, we're digitizing a paradigm, right? And an event and a way of life for some people. So that was really eye-opening for me, right? That's when I kind of, even though I'd worked for the company for years and sort of, you know, I understood NFTs straight away and all of that, being a bit more entrenched in crypto, but I didn't really understand how crazy David Yu is as a collector. and I saw thousands of David Yus, right? Until I saw all lining up hours of doing this thing, and then it all actually clicked for me while we were kind of in amongst the chaos of meeting everybody and all of that. So that will always hold a really kind of special memory in my memory bank. And you know, you guys asked me before this if I had any physical collectibles on hand. I was like, no, I don't really, but I kind of do. I have a pile of VeVe merch that I collect from events now, right? Which
Oh,
is
nice.
that's the OG
Oh yeah.
Econ shirt that has made it into quite a few interviews.
Oh, nice.
I think I'll hang on to that. I'll pull out the other ones later. But yeah, so to kind of answer your question, right, to go from that and then 12 months later be at Comic-Con, right, the biggest of these events, the biggest pop culture event, and be attached to and supported by the biggest brand that goes to Comic-Con. It was a far cry from a black curtain and 2 tables. I'll tell you that much.
You got 60-inch screens. You got 72 inches.
Somebody else set up the booth. That's how good it was.